Kiva.
Hey everyone, I'm Brent Williams, founder and CEO of Kiva.
And I'm Nick Lamparelli, Chief Underwriting Officer at Rethought Insurance and podcaster at the Yellow Book Road podcast.
Nice.
And what a week. It's been a crazy week, a good week, but it's been crazy. So I'm glad to be doing this because I think sometimes when you're like in the grind, like hustle, like get it done, you forget all the happy stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
So who wants to share their happy story first?
I'll start. I've got a big one. So, our team's been growing so rapidly that we're almost to the point where we hire like 6 to 10 people at a time. I mean, we literally just hire people in bunches anymore.
Cohorts.
But we finally started hiring people on the sales and marketing side. So it's made me really happy. So I can start getting rid of some of my crap that I don't want to mess with no more. But we hired a great individual and funny, it's interesting because this individual came to us from a potential client, but also a kind of like a partner, but yet they're not a client yet. And this carrier went through a downturn where they got rid of some individuals and we were looking for individuals. And so we said, well, is there anybody you would recommend? And they were like, oh my gosh, this one. So they, these are personal connections and, so they refer them to us and we start the interview process. And, it's funny because the lady, I can't remember meeting her. Maybe you met her, Bobbie, but I can't remember ever meeting her. But she was talking about, oh, I love the Kiva story and I love what you guys are doing. I was, okay. But
it's been such a long time since we visited that group that it's been,
yeah, because we used to go there like every
month,
4 to 6 weeks, and spend time at the office there. But then when COVID hit, all our travels shut down, so we kind of quit doing that. But anyway, the funny story. So the funny part about the happy story, the happy part is we hired this gal. But the funny part of that is I sent one of the individuals who was her manager, I sent an email and said, hey, we're thinking about hiring this gal and would love to get on a quick Zoom call to as she listed you as a reference, would like to get on a quick Zoom call. So like the next day I didn't hear anything. And the next morning I get an email that says, hey, what works for your calendar? I'd love to chat with you about this gal. And I replied, man, we're a startup. We've already hired her. And he's like,
please tell me we didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Man, we move fast. I mean, this is not, a 2-day turnaround. I said in 2 days, we'll have them hired.
I started laughing when Brent said that. I was like, oh.
Yep. And in 2 more days, she'll be spinning plates at Kiva.
So anyway, that was my Happy Friday story this week. So,
like the best, there was a post, I think earlier on Twitter that says, will you hire like your former colleagues to work? And I was like, if majority of them I would, if they, if A, we can afford them, and B, if they're a right fit for the role. And it just, I'm a firm believer on using your network for people to come, right? Even if you may have not worked with that person individually in your existing life, but use your network to find people. So this example that Brent shared came from a very trusted person who, like both of us, that person's recommendation came very, like we already love this person. So whoever they're going to recommend, we're going to automatically like them. So it's so important to, I even encourage our team whenever we're looking for people, look at your network, because these are people that you may be working with or have worked with like 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, and it sparks a memory, right? Because sometimes in work culture, you move on and you forget about some of your very close relationships because it's just like graduating college and all these vast number of friends. How many friends are we like really, really connected with? But if you look at it, like these were people that you knew, you had great connection with, you know how they work. So when you do find that, we at least know from a baseline what we're expecting.
No, I think network's huge. Absolutely. It's one of the powerful advantages is to have a broad and deep network. I hire my former colleagues all the time. Yep. Like to me, it's part of it is like, you already know the kind of person. It's kind of like all of these NBA players wanting to form super teams, right? Like I feel like it seems like that. I've worked with people in the past, and I just know their work product, their curiosity. I've seen them put in the extra hours. Like you just know ahead of time, it's like that person's going to fit in, right? Like, and I have no qualms about doing it, and I reach into my network all the time.
Yep.
It's an easy decision compared to someone else that you've never potentially worked with. Like that becomes, I think, more difficult to assess, because you're just like, is this person going to fit in? So I generally lean on my network. That's the first place I go to. Yeah, which is a segue. I don't know how this keeps happening. We do not plan this ahead of time, but that's what I was going to talk about. Was it was going to be, one was going to be my daughter, but the other was going to be people I have hired who have come from my network, and when you see them fitting in exactly how you thought they would fit in, it is just like, it's such a good feeling. When your other colleagues tell you, oh my God, like, where'd you find this person? Such a great, marvelous experience to go through, to know that it's like, my radar is good.
Yeah.
I know good people.
That's
right. Like my ability to trust certain people is at a really sharp level, because I trust them. I bring them on, and then they do exactly what I would expect that they would do, and often exceed it. So that's a great feeling, and kind of segues to my daughter, who's in college, and she just started a YouTube channel, and she's gone through 4 years of college, so she'll be graduating in the fall, but she's gone through 4 years now, and a lot of times I'm seeing her work, do her homework and do stuff, and she's getting good grades, but, I'm still in the back of my mind wondering, like, is she prepared for the real world? And then she creates a YouTube channel, and you're just like, wow, like, who is this person? Like, completely exceeds your expectations, because having a YouTube channel myself, I know how hard it is to make video and to keep content flowing. And she comes off very professionally. And it's like, she's my daughter, but I'm still like, who is this person? So she's exceeded expectations. So that's my gratitude story of the week. And my happy story is, one, the friends and network that I've developed, that I've been able to now make colleagues, and who've just made me so proud. And my daughter, who's now coming out into the world and already making me proud of who she is. So that's my gratitude story.
Nice.
Well,
Bobbie?
Brent took a little bit of my happy story, because honestly, when we went through this, we had shared with this individual, hey, do these activities, and what she shared, like a 10-page document. And when you go through that, I was like shedding a little tear. Like, oh my God. Like, that's like, like when you have that feeling, like this person can take away so much. Like, we don't have to babysit them, like they got it.
I don't have tears. I have, what's that feeling where it's too good to be true? Is this really happening? Please tell me this is really happening, and don't tell me I'm going to be let down. But Yeah, I know what you're feeling. I get a different feeling about it, but when you finally know it's gone and you can trust that it's gone, it's not coming back to you.
Yeah.
It's like,
And my team does this to me all the time. Like when where we have like our daily connects, like our scrum, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're having this meeting, this meeting, this meeting, but we don't need you." I'm like, "Yes." This is what I do a happy dance, like, yes, because the team is getting self-sufficient.
yes,
That's the role. I tell this is a very I used to tell in corporate, and it's the same philosophy I've carried over in our startup world. You have to learn how to automate your job. It's not bad, because once you learn and you don't get stuck in a position, right? Like if as so like let's say you're a professional, you're working in corporate environment. After a year, the second year, learn how you can automate your job or train somebody else to do your job, because you can then easily move on to a higher role or to a different role, because stagnation is what, I mean, unless you love what you're doing, right? But for me, like when I was in my goal was to always like learn something new, learn something new, learn something new, right? So I just followed my own principle of just automating, 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 not with the fear that they're going to get rid of me, with the excitement that, oh my gosh, I can go on and do other things. And I don't have this backlog of training that I have to do. And I may get passed up on a promotion. I'm ready for unpromotable because I've automated or found a way to automate my job. And that's for founders especially, it's a tough principle, but once you can get to trusting your team and automating some of these things, that's when you can truly become strategic and focus on higher level vision for your company. A vision doesn't come from one person. It's your founding team, it's your core team. But in order to do that, you have to figure out how to automate your job or delegate.
I think it's best practice,
Yeah.
honestly. Like in this day and age, I was once taught like you can't get a promotion until you find someone to replace the work that you were just doing. You can't leave until that hole is filled up. So fill that hole first, then you can leave. And it makes complete sense. There are people who are enamored with their work and they love it so much, and you don't want to take that away from them. But I think the vast majority of people can envision moving on to something else. They do get stagnant. Yeah. And to me, that's like a core philosophy of business, is that you should be, part of your job is to find your replacement.
Yeah.
I've said for years that good individuals, when you hire good individuals on your team, eventually they will look to replace you. I mean, that's their goal. Their goal is to have your job. Their goal is to be in your position, right? Yeah. So that means one of two things. Either they get rid of you, right? Or you move up so they can move into that position. But good individuals are always trying to take your job. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Should be, but it's scary for a lot of execs, but to me, I think that's a well-adjusted psychology to have that in mind.
I really think it should be scary to some execs, because how many times, I mean, we deal with carriers all across the United States, and we present our value proposition to these carriers. We know the inside of the carrier. We know that they need what we have. Yet the only reason we're not in there is because there's an upper executive that's got one foot out the retirement door and just doesn't want to upset the apple cart, just wants to kind of coast to retirement. And to me, I'm like, that's like the worst thing for an organization. I mean, they really need those people who have one foot out the door and don't want to take on any extra projects or risks simply because they've got a foot out the door. I would say you're better off to just go pay them and get them out the door. I mean,
completely. I don't know where I read this, but like for organizations that want to encourage not that type of philosophy that Brent shared, like one foot out the door and one foot in, just because they're retirement benefit, they feel like they have to be in that role. there's some organizations that basically put them in an like they are not leaving. They're just a senior group of advisors, but that's where it forces people to look at the new blood and get those positions filled before you even retire. But they're not they're not like, if they advise somebody to make, like, hey, you guys should look at this, they're not the one throat to choke, right? They become like that advisory pool. So this allows them to take some of those risks that they wouldn't normally do, because it's fear-based, right? All of this stuff that we talk about is fear-based, like what happens to me, it's me. To eliminate that, there's a lot of different organizations that are testing these types of concepts, which I think shows that they're being true to innovation and allowing people to make those big risks, because those are the people that can see it because they've been in it, but they're afraid to say it. Because how many times, Brent, have we talked to a former exec when they left, said they need this, go.
Yep.
Why didn't you do that when you were in the role? Because it's fear.
Yeah.
You don't see that in sports, right? And I think sports is a good metaphor for how businesses should think about this stuff. There's no such thing as a player who coasts to retirement.
Right.
You either bring value, you don't bring value, right?
Right.
Like you're contributing something or you're not, and if you're not, you're gone.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I think a lot of people would look at that as a little bit cutthroat, but I think it gets back to a lot of the culture of the particular organization. And clearly anyone that can coast to retirement, you don't have the appropriate metrics in place to evaluate people, because no one should be allowed to coast.
Yeah.
Right. And I like what you said, Bobbie, like at least, at a minimum, it's like, well, let's take you out of that role and just move you to something where, you can coast, but also contribute value in a better way versus blocking, progress in something, preventing the next star quarterback from coming in because you want to coast to retirement. It's unheard of, but it happens in the corporate world all the time.
Yeah, we've literally got a list of prospects that were in our CRM. We've got a date specific that this person is out during this time. And we've literally been told, we want the solution, we want this, come back at this time because this roadblock is gone. And you're like, how is that good for the organization? It's just simply not.
It's not. No. It's too bad.
Yeah.
Won't be a problem at Benakiva though.
No.
Once Brent gets to that down slope, Bobbie will be kicking him in the back, like go be chairman emeritus or something.
But the cool part is, like, honestly, like, and the three of us, the founders, we've even said internally, we operate as a unit. There is like no hierarchy within us, And I think that's what makes us, like, it's not like a role based, hey, I gotta be CEO. Nope. I can pretty much be strategic and do what I love doing and still get the experiences, same with Brent, right?
Yeah.
Same with Sovan. So,
yeah.
But we operate as a unit, which is different than most folks, which, the industry always looks at the CEO and then there's the C-suite. You can operate that way, that's fine. But for us, we're a unit. The three of us are a unit.
Yep. Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. Good to be back. Good to see you guys.